Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzWeaver channel, current events, headlines that are in the news, technology, social media, and just items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue, a little bit of a departure from what is normally here on the channel. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome all of you, and as of this recording, it is Christmas Day. Of course, you will be seeing this on Friday, so I hope all you guys have had a very nice holiday and a great Christmas. In gaming news, some of you have been asking me about Just Survive. Now, checking Reddit and the H1Z1 live stream, we've not seen any additional information concerning Just Survive. And I want to emphasize here that at the moment, Nantworks Gaming, NantG, is working out the legal details with Daybreak so that Nantworks can acquire the game from Daybreak. So that's where we are right now. There isn't any additional information. Keep in mind here that here in the States it is holiday time. We had Thanksgiving and now Christmas. And so people have different schedules. Some people are going on vacation. So we don't have like a lot of in-depth detailed information, and we may not until maybe into January, into 2019, before we really get kind of any solid information directly from Daybreak and or from Nantworks altogether. In gaming news as well as current event, Battlefield 5 has made it into both categories. I wouldn't have anticipated that while covering Battlefield 5 we'd be talking about it both from the gaming perspective and from current events, but nonetheless we've had some interesting articles that have come out this week. One in particular that was posted on Reddit, and I'll leave a link to both of these articles in the published section below. But the first one starts out talking about how EA DICE has had to revise its projected earnings for 2019 because apparently the game has lost about $350 million. And you have political pundits, critics, and journalists saying one thing. You have shareholders and investors saying another, and then you have, of course, the whole entire gaming community. So you have kind of a trifecta of individuals who are kind of critiquing the game, going after the game, and so DICE has had a lot of heat. Now, importantly here to point out, and some gamers aren't particularly interested in this, but I want to point it out because some of the journalists and critics out there have been pointing out several aspects to the game that revolves around politics, of course, and that was women being in the game, or women characters being in the game. Now, you may recall a former producer, former developer, Sunderland, who recently resigned from EA DICE, kind of started a ball rolling that introduced Battlefield 5 into the political arena. And that was when he said he had a conversation with his daughter. His daughter was mentioning how Fortnite had female characters and Battlefield didn't, and this, that, and the other. And so he was kind of saying that, yes, they did play a role, and yes, we need to maybe address that in Battlefield 5 and maybe introduce female characters. Now look, players of the game aren't going to be overly concerned about there being male and female characters per se. However, this kind of turned into a political type discussion because what Sunderland ended up doing when there was a bit of a backlash when the first Battlefield trailer came out, we saw a female in what would be steampunk type dress with a prosthetic arm that people said was bionic or was mechanical or robotic or whatever it was that they were saying. Of course, this was all exaggeration and sensationalizing, and there was all this dancing of language and information and definitions and perceptions and understandings. But nonetheless, the bottom line is, of course, anytime you have that introduction of political discourse injected into something like a game, your critics, pundits, all these other individuals are going to jump on board, and we've seen that. Now, the other aspect to this debate was that Sunderland said that, yeah, women were in it, and if you didn't agree with it, or you didn't like it, or whatever, he said then you were just ignorant, or you were uneducated, or you were unaware. Now, of course, we know that women did serve roles in World War II, just not as prominently. So again, we have individuals that want to, take information out of context and put it into a different perspective, into a different light, and so we have both the political pundits and when we have gamers and so forth, shareholders, all commenting into this arena. But he also said that if people didn't like it, not to purchase the game. Now, anytime you bring a challenge up to the internet, they will accept that challenge. And so apparently we see that from the perspective of sales. Now, pre-order sales were very low, which we all knew about. And then, of course, now with these projected earnings and metrics and analytics and stuff that are coming back, apparently $350 million is what the company had lost. But in the political arena, I wanted to also share an article where the critics have jumped in. And this is from Vice magazine. And I wanted to look at it here and read the title specifically, and that is How Historical Accuracy Became a Euphemism. So kind of in this article, they make the argument that look at the reaction that people got when they found out that purple-haired prosthetic steampunk-wearing females were going to be in Battlefield 5, and isn't it an outrage that females can't be part of, or female characters can't be part of a game, this, that, and the other, in a world where we're trying to have inclusion and so forth. So it's kind of an interesting parallel, really, to be covering this both from a gaming perspective and from a political perspective. But nonetheless, guys, I'll leave those links down in the published section below and wanted to include that as both a gaming and current events segment. Military veteran and triple amputee Brain Kolfage has set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for the border wall. Now, of course, this is probably more of a political statement, a show of force, a community organization to show support for Brian's causes, for President Trump, and for border security. Now, when this first started, it got a bit of a chuckle from just the regular mainstream media and pundits and other individuals out there. But now that it is nearly at $17 million, as of this recording right now, I believe is at $16,900,000. But in post-production, when I do the fly-in graphics, it might be a little different. But nonetheless, suffices to say that it has garnered a lot of attention. Now, Trump detractors have their own little GoFundMe page, which is minuscule compared to this, and I find it kind of amusing because in the battle for ideas, in the battle for the hearts and minds of the American people, you see the two factions kind of dueling it out, those who support Trump and maybe those who don't. And there's all kinds of different perspectives, like we talked about with Battlefield 5. You have all these ranging views. And of course, as we've talked about here in the past, when we talked about what was important to Americans in the midterms, and that of course was healthcare and immigration. And then last week we talked about what was important to Americans in general, and of course that was family, career, hobbies, things of that nature. But so here we have an individual who has created this GoFundMe, and it really has garnered a lot of attention because right now, as of this recording, we are in kind of a partial government shutdown as both the president, the Democrats, and Republicans are battling over the funding of the wall. Now, of course, those are out there saying, hey, look, wasn't Mexico supposed to pay for this? Sure. But this whole GoFundMe thing is really kind of a political movement. It's really kind of a show of force to indicate to individuals that, look, President Trump does actually have support, and he actually does, because it is a lot of the vocal minority. We've talked about this several times, how it is the smaller voices who have jumped on social media, who have jumped on media in general since the 60s, who have gotten onto these platforms to be able to reach the masses. And so in this particular situation, now it's very unique, right? Because the idea here is, we see this kind of as a way the left and progressives and Trump detractors have kind of formulated their game plan. And it's one they've always had for quite some time, and that is popularity kind of trumps all, right? We hear how, like, well, Trump didn't win the popular vote. Well, of course we don't, because for over 200 years we've been using the Electoral College, which in retrospect, if you look at some of the historical elections and stuff, it kind of actually favored certain parties over another. So having the Electoral College is completely important, and any civics class can teach you why we have that, but that's off topic. I digress. But nonetheless, so here we have this individual who's created this GoFundMe to show that, hey, look, those silent majorities out there who support Trump or support border security or support the wall, or nonetheless who support causes for something that is pro-America, right? For America, like Trump saying, make America great again kind of thing. All right, guys, so we had another timeout there. So essentially what happened was I lent the camera out to my father a couple weeks ago, and apparently he made some setting changes because he was shooting indoors. He was filming a concert with my niece and so forth, and so I'm gonna have to go in and change some of the settings here on the camera. I didn't realize that they had been changed. I thought when we dropped last time it was the camera timing out or maybe a battery issue, but apparently I'm gonna have to go into the settings, set everything back to default to set up for video filming. But nonetheless, I had pretty much concluded that segment on Brain Kolfage. But nonetheless, what I wanted to finish up with is it has garnered a lot of attention, and I'm going to continue to keep an eye on it, as we all are, of course, because you know how the legal aspects of it are going to work out and where the money might actually go, because it's going to be taxed, of course. And then, of course, you have all the legal wranglings that it's going to have to go through if it actually makes it to the actual targeted area that it's supposed to go to. But nonetheless, I'm going to leave links down in the public section below about it. I wanted to mention very briefly, for those of you who are here from the Lost History channel, viewers and subscribers, sometimes my scheduling or other priorities can keep me from being able to do a voiceover. And so what happens is the Lost History channel then goes and hires other talent to be able to do the segments. And I'm here to tell you that despite the fact that, you know, I lend my voice to the Lost History channel, the research, the development, the production, all the hard work and skill and genre topics and everything that is covered there on the Lost History channel is exclusively that of the Lost History channel. I simply lend my voice. Will occasionally make some minute changes to the script, or will include or exclude things from the scripts, but nonetheless my influence or what I do for the Lost History channel is really just kind of lend my voice to it. And just because of the holidays and things that were going on here, I wasn't able to get to some of these segments. I wasn't able to get to some of the voiceovers. We're working out scheduling, because here in the States, of course, we had Thanksgiving and now we have Christmas. I work on my own channel here and doing a lot of work with Battlefield and stuff like that in the background. Of course, all the things that I do for YouTube and other things in the background. So it just was a scheduling issue. We're back on target. I just recently did a voiceover the other day. But nonetheless, I wanted to assure you guys from the Lost History channel that no, I've not resigned yet from the Lost History channel, and we will continue to do the content. It's just been a very active, very hectic last 2 months, really. So, but nonetheless, that's kind of a little bit of an explanation that I wanted to give you guys. And that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. Guys, thank you so much for your support, your shares, your comments. The way you guys interact with this new format and this new media is greatly appreciated. The channel has grown tremendously. A lot of that has to do with some of the community members from the Lost History channel. So thanks to you and all the new members who have come across the channel, either from activity that I do on other channels and so forth. And so I appreciate and value all of you guys have done. And I'm looking forward to a very active 2019. And nonetheless, guys, if you haven't already as a viewer, click on that watermark channel icon right there, appearing there on the screen, to subscribe to the channel, as well as the notification bell, so that way you guys will know when the next Friday vlog is available, as well as additional content here on the channel.